We're delighted to be back from our forced hiatus due to the pandemic with the Kohler Bold Art PechaKucha style, featuring 5 architects and designers. Tonight, we celebrate design and host a dialogue between you and our 5 skilled masters. Our theme is Design Then and Now. We use PechaKucha's simple concept for an informal and fun sharing of creative ideas, thoughts, holiday pictures, just about anything really, but in the 2020 format. So let me stop here and invite from Kohler, Vishal Chadda, Managing Director, Kitchen and Bath for India and South Asia, to kickstart the evening.
The question design then and now essentially involves 2 questions at least I thought needed answering. One, what is then and what is design? Design for me essentially, the way I define it, is an optimization problem. Given a set of constraints, how do you solve for a consumer need in the best possible manner? And I will talk about design in the context of industries I have worked in, which is foods, telecom, e-commerce, and now with Kohler. Foods, I want to talk essentially about packaging first. Packaging in the early days was basically wax wrap paper, simple paper, and some tins. But as the substrates evolved, as we had laminates, design kept pace, and suddenly you would see packs with fantastic colors, fonts, images, which stood out and screamed to the consumer or talked to the consumer, come pick us up, enticing them. My second career phase was with mobile telecom. India actually as a country leapfrogged a generation. We were never a country which had lots of landlines. We leapfrogged straight from, well, no connectivity to literally a connectivity everywhere. The earlier mobile phones essentially were all about, well, I don't need to be a wrestler to be able to pick up a phone, the battery life, good voice clarity. Well, some of the problems probably we still face today. But it evolved to be into multitasking, to be entertained, to be productive in many, many ways. My third leg of the journey was in an e-commerce space. We all shop online. Internet speed, connectivity through mobile devices, more importantly, the ability to make payments securely on the internet. They all contributed to the birth of this new way of shopping, which was about convenience and unlimited choice. The initial days of digital shopping, well, actually were TV shopping. And it was one-to-many communication, very limited choice. And today, the choices are infinite. We have one-to-many, one-to-one, many-to-one, many-to-many, B2B, B2C. You can think of any number of acronyms. And that's how the e-commerce has evolved. In almost 149 years, Kohler has also optimized its designs to fulfill evolving consumer needs and has kept pace with the latest materials and technology. From hygiene, moving to wellness, from functional to experiential, from essential to luxury, enabled by technology like PVD, sensors, 3D printing, IoT, etc. I just want to talk about 3 examples which showcase the design evolution. The first is the stillness bath, which moved from pure hygiene into an experience. It's like a spa-like experience, sanctuary for your self-care and well-being. The second piece is about art with functionality built into it. This is made by 3D printing and then hand pouring brass into it. Extremely personalized and very, very unique. Last but not least, I want to talk about how Kohler, which is exhibited in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, with its technology now, allows us to bring objects of desire, of art, into our own bathrooms. And Kila is one such example. To conclude, to satisfy evolving consumer needs optimally, design actually sets the pace. It has then, and it always will. Thank you.
Well, without any delay now, we'd like to begin, and we do so with Kutub Mandviwala.
Design then and now. And what better place can we talk about than the Stonehenge? It is the basic of design that we all have studied and all have learned from. The pyramids of Giza, standing tall today, one of the strongest forms of architecture of design at that point of time. Inspired from there, here we see the Louvre by I.M. Pei at Paris, where the evolution of the modern expression of that same pyramid, reverse. The caves at the Ajanta and Ellora are one of the best expressions of chiseled architecture. Today, within that same area, inspired by them, is this chiseled piece of modern architecture done out of concrete and creating a sculpted piece of art. We have all lived in houses with courtyards and interactive and comfortable spaces to live in. In the modern times, these kind of concepts have been also related in commercial spaces and office spaces, where these courtyards form as atriums, form as interactive space, make it climatically sustainable by having this subdued light coming inside. Expression in architecture has always been a very important factor, and here we see it done by the master. The church or the cathedral by Corbusier says it all, a very strong form in concrete with fenestrations for light and ventilation. A similar inspiration taken in today's modern times in the modern architecture can be seen here at the ECGC complex, where the monumental steps and the concrete and the glass with the fenestration creates an expression of architecture, making it a piece of art with the fenestrations out there. We all speak of parametric architecture in today's time, but we go back to the primitive times, and when we see the step wells, we realize that this was the best parametric architecture which exists today, done to preserve the water at that point of time deep down in the steps going down, based on the algorithms. The modern form is there in a reverse way, just like the reverse pyramid by the big architects at the RS, where the parametric architecture is done in a reverse way, but to allow a lot of light to come in to place where the need for that is there. Architecture and design is timeless. What was relevant in yesteryears is relevant today also. That's why we say that what we do and what we create is going to live beyond us. Thank you.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kavita Parvani Talib.
I am here today to talk about the need for a mindful now, as it paves the foundation for future generations, and that becomes the present for them, and we becoming the referral past. It is the nature of design to continuously reinvent itself. It is only pertinent that the next generation will question, was it truly worth the price or the price? They will contemplate whether it was better or higher, taller, stronger, wired or wireless, maximalist or minimalist, over-engineered or sustainable. I'm today addressing the gray, the metamorphosis, the flux that has been created all alongside. To set a context, someone with my kind of experience can easily relate to the rapid advancements that we have seen over the last few decades. So the need was always simple, need for a space to coexist, but what we created instead was a complex design. We created strong, sturdy, concrete containers. Then we looked at it, mighty pleased. Oops, only to realize that we had conveniently forgotten about light and ventilation was completely crossed out. So like good architects, we created windows. We always have a solution for everything to get that light and ventilation. And somehow, that too was not enough. So we created more, and we found some new use, some new material to build up to, and we found this new use for glass. So we had glass containers with literally breathtaking views. The ventilation was certified artificial, and now we were struggling for oxygen, and unfortunately, sometimes so was our designs. Status-wise, we were now global, not local anymore, creating anywhere architecture that belonged to no one in particular. We had started by stacking boxes made of cement, sand, steel, one above the other, neatly, fitted in close proximity, in tight-knit, breathless spaces, scrambling for the sky. This concrete jungle that we all had created with education, exposure, and knowledge was spreading like wildfire, engulfing everything in its way. Nature was choking with us, and I and you, we are very much a part of this. We may not be in a perfect world. It may be flawed just like us. Just as we can mend through kintsugi, we can also mend by curating mindful designs. The need is to create a mindful now so it leads to a substantial then for generations to come. The need, ladies and gentlemen, is to mend the gray.
Third speaker now, and we have with us Behzad Kharas.
A Bawa loves his car first and then his wife. My first love, designed 40 years ago to the current generation of design that we see today, is a symbol of aspiration. I believe design can be inspirational and aspirational at the same time. This is probably how my grandmother Naju used to travel back then. Today, we have the ability to sleep, to watch a movie, and even say cheers at a bar 30,000 feet in the air. Design has the ability to upgrade our senses. In this case, the sensation of touch. A switch that I used to use in my childhood versus a switch that we use in our projects today has upgraded this sensation while retaining the same functionality of switching on and switching off a light. Something that I used to use and call a tap in my childhood, today in a new sexy avatar is called a faucet. The tools of design have changed with time, from hand sketches to hand perspectives to 2Ds and 3D renders. While newer technologies help us experience and explore complex geometries, I still believe that compared to a render, a sketch conveys a larger and better emotion. A home done for a client 11 years ago to his home today is a complete contrast because of this evolution. Evolution is the key reason behind change from then to now. And all that I've been speaking so far is about upgraded experiences, and our job as designers is to create these experiences. So how does one create change? Through education and through information. Every resultant action of this change may be positive or negative. While we design to create a better change, it may not necessarily turn out to be better. However, my biggest fear is what is perceived to be better actually isn't better at all. And coming to my most favorite product, a product that beats the McDonald's burger. The way I eat it is up here on the screen, and the way today's generation eats is in this box here. My question is, does the same content with a different packaging create a new experience? My answer is no. On the other hand, a design made by my parents 42 years ago, where the content and the packaging evolved with time. My question is, does evolving content with evolving packaging create a new user experience? Behzad Kharas then or now doesn't have answers to all these questions. A place of worship is defined by the stereotypical symbols of its faith and the way we've grown up to perceive that place of worship. This image defies all those stereotypical symbols to create a new definition. I believe this is the perfect example to be set for the then of our future. As designers, we put together complex pieces of a puzzle, and every aspect of design is like a puzzle. However, it is important to complete this puzzle irrespective of the challenge that we face internally or externally. We may be young and have the ability to do it well, but it takes years of experience to actually do it much better. The difference between the world's greatest achievements and staggering failures is often the diligent will to persevere. Friends and family and people like me, keep walking.
Up next, Gaurav Premchandani as he expounds on our topic.
The magic number 2000. It is in that year I started my hospitality design journey. Design then and now revolves around my passion, hotels. As a passionate hotel designer, I believe that hotels are quite like a mini town in itself. It needs to be perfect balance of coordination and multiple disciplines. Earlier, hotels started out as rest stops for travelers. With evolving world, guests could afford and demand more. There was a rise in number of hotels and guest services as well. Hotels eventually became a lifestyle. With the rise in luxury, design hotels evolved. Spaces were now planned on basis of functionality. Now was changing the then. The biggest change that has come about in this time from then to now is hotels now are absolutely you-centric. You, the guest. It is all about a great experience where you would like to reach a hotel and just not be, welcome without a drink. This led us to design hotels based on you-centricity and utility, again focusing on the guest. Apart from space planning, there's also a change in the way we approach design. Styling is a very important element today. Traditional motifs set in a neutral base, smart use of art, helps immerse the guest in the local culture, while it also promotes the local art and artisans. This is a room at a reputed business hotel. Focus on two things here: the study cum dining table and the bench. The rising cost of the real estate has inspired us to innovate. The open wardrobe and light furniture design was developed in response to the lack of space and efficient use of revenue. It makes the room look bigger, avoids a lot of bulking up. From then to now, a new word has emerged for the hotels: budget hotels. Today, we are focused and rather bullish on budget hotels. Small rooms, yet very functional, always catering the demand. Here is how the design has changed now. One movable modular element can be used as a space to study, wine and dine. Move it over the bed and you can have the breakfast, or better yet, wine in the bed. Also, designs now are more sustainable, since the Indian manufacturing units now met all our needs. However, some things remain the same between then and now. Aesthetics, the most important and the first touch point between the design space and the guest. From then to now, I too have evolved. I keep myself and this team of mine remember one constant, and that is you. Truly the non-negotiable. Then, now, and never.
Our fifth and last speaker is Ambar Dar Wag.
Design. Is it an evolution, an ever-changing response to an ever-changing need? Each solution informed by its predecessor and informing its successor. A metamorphosis, then and now. Or is it a confluence, as seen here in this 1922 drawing by Paul Klee, the twittering machine, singing birds attached to a hand crank, an enigmatic blend of biology and machinery. So today, I will look at the constants in design, then and now, with an intention to hold on to the things that really matter at a time when around us, everything which is solid melts into air. The first design constant in then and now is identity, connected to our innermost sense of being, and then imbibing and exploring this in our designs through our authorship. You see here Utzon's sketch of the Opera House at Sydney. Design constant in then and now, utility. Utility that transcends function becomes timeless. Next design constant in then and now is context of the designer, of place, of time. Three simultaneous gravities by Escher force us to think where we stand. What starts as a geometric curiosity ends up creating parallel realities. Design constant here is authenticity, which is achieved through intention. What makes an antique coin valuable vis-a-vis its cheap replica? Here, the design constant in then and now is innovation. To continuously mix and meld ideas, tinker and fail, and then try again. Design constant in then and now is spontaneity, our immediate and uninhibited response, a gut reflex. Nothing explains us better than the children here. Same game, different expression, and different individual color. Design constant in then and now, memory, association, and transformation. Does Heatherwick's inspiration for the vessel in New York comes from Indian stepwells, or perhaps it is just an open mine pit? Originality is the next constant in then and now. Picasso, upon buying an estate in France, told his dealer that he has bought a Cézanne. The dealer asked, which one? Picasso replied, the original. He had bought a property in landscape that has been drawn repeatedly by Cézanne. And finally, the Kal Chakra, an apt metaphor for the cyclical nature and interconnectedness of design. Change as the only constant, but it always comes back to where it started. Then is now, now is then. Our memories from then gets crystallized in our designs now. Echoed here in Ben Okri's poignant thought, I always like to sit in the last coach of the train, looking out back. That way, my past is always in front of me. Thank you.
PechaKucha is a very interesting platform, what you call it, the 2020.
It allows you to look at things beyond practice, in a perspective, and in the world view.
It's a Japanese concept, 20 slides, 20 seconds each slide.
It made me go into my own journey too. It kind of made me go in the past. It was very transportive.
Which is like, then and now. So we went back unfolding our old memories, trying to take a break from what we are doing day to day.
After an evening of extraordinary storytelling and a great coming together of creativity and simplicity, PechaKucha 10th edition was a definite success.